What's up, Vibers? It's Kai. Welcome to another episode of the Vibe with Kai podcast. In today's episode, I'm joined by someone who blends music and science and heart in a way that I have never ever seen before. Ghiya Rushidat is an award-winning composer, pianist, and proud ADHD advocate, which I love. She's creating powerful soundscapes made just for neurodivergent brains like ours. You're going to really appreciate this conversation today. We're talking about her new album, Chasing Dopamine, made for folks with ADHD. Today, you're going to feel heard, you're going to feel seen, and maybe a little bit calmer. That's the goal. That's the goal today. I want to welcome our guest, Ghiya, to the show. What's up, Ghiya? It's nice to see
Hi,
you.
Connor. You too. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm super excited. Before we were recording today, I was nerding out in front of Gia, talking about how much of a film score buff I am and how I listen to film scores, and all of that, which we'll talk about later. But I want to jump right into this here. You have one of the most fascinating bios that I've ever read. You're a Grammy voting member. You've been a pianist since the age of 4. You're a neuroscience scholar, and now you're helping people with ADHD through music. What? That is so cool. What's the story behind that? Like, what is your story? How did this all get to where you are today?
Well, thank you. I wouldn't call myself scholar for sure. I study neuroscience and I'm very humble about it. It's like, but I guess this is part of having ADHD, which I never really knew
Hmm.
until 2021. And it's that you're just excited about exploring everything. You want to learn
Yeah.
everything and you jump from one hobby to another, I guess.
Hmm.
And the ones that last are the ones that you're truly passionate about. And that's what I
Hmm.
realized. Like I tried crochet and I tried,
Right.
this really like fascinating things and they never really stuck, but those are the ones that stayed.
Right, right. And you're very good at it. You are
Thank you.
incredibly talented. And I read that you were diagnosed with ADHD later in life. And I know I was too. I was diagnosed when I was 34, and no, I'm sorry, 35. And there's a lot of people in my audience that have been diagnosed later on in life as well. So for you, what was that moment like? It's like how, when you were first diagnosed with ADHD later in life, how did that affect your relationship with music and your creativity?
My God, just with everything really, because I think
Yeah.
no matter like regardless what the thing is that you're diagnosed with, it just gives you that kind of tranquility and peace that you
Hmm.
know yourself and you know that nothing was really wrong with you. It's just like, something different. And that's the whole thing
Yeah.
about ADHD. I was having conversations with my friends and they were diagnosed. And we'd be like talking about symptoms and, what led you to that diagnosis. And then I was like,
Yeah.
maybe I should explore that.
Yeah.
So I did talk to my psychiatrist, and at first, sorry for the phone,
Oh,
and at
you're
first
fine.
it was like she thought at first it could be depression or anxiety or a few even OCD at some point. And then when I did the test, she was like, "Okay, yeah, you're definitely an
Hmm.
ADHD candidate."
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, and it made
Yeah.
sense afterwards.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can relate to that. I know I can relate to that because I remember when I got diagnosed, it was like putting on glasses and being able to see clearly for the first time. And also to look back at your life and realize that so many things make sense now. It's like some of the struggles, some of the things that you even might excel at. It makes sense now. Gia, you had your music performed at Carnegie Hall. You have composed for Netflix. You've composed for Warner Brothers, and now you're making a shift. So you're shifting your focus to neurodivergent minds like yours, like mine. Why make that shift and start focusing on ADHD specific healing music?
Um, so the Chasing Dopamine, to be specific, the album, it's been
Hmm.
brewing for maybe 3 or 4 years right now. And
Sure.
it started when I couldn't meditate myself. Like it
Mm.
would drive me crazy. And even like before the diagnosis, I would try and I would just like sit still and listen to the music and try to breathe. And it just didn't work with me. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to create my own meditation. And I
Uh-huh.
started like just writing my own script and recording my voice and then adding the music, which is another like hyper focused kind of rabbit
Hmm.
hole that I went into.
Yeah,
And then I was
yeah.
like, you know what? I haven't heard of a meditation album that was specific for ADHD minds. And then the next thing you know, I am right now, like, we're just finalizing it and it's coming soon to light. So that's how it happened. And I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, I'm really excited too. I want to dive into that, the idea behind chasing dopamine. Like that is the title that you have. How did you come upon that title? How did that come to be?
Um, I think I'm trying to remember because it was either a
Hmm.
coach or a therapist that
Yeah.
told me that I'm constantly chasing dopamine.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get like a t-shirt or something and just like write it over there. And
Yeah.
it just hit me. And then when I came to like the concept of creating the album and the scripts and everything, it just like it was so organic. I didn't even have to
Yeah.
think about the name of the album. It just came to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's amazing because I love that you're making this because, and I don't know if you agree with this or not, but from my own personal experience, I feel like some albums out there, some meditation albums, don't really work for my brain. Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't really work well for my brain, which is sometimes just like all over the place and there's like there's a lot happening at once, but you're creating music for the ADHD brain. So based upon like other meditation albums that you've listened to, like has that been your experience too? And what makes Chasing Dopamine different?
Absolutely, and this is one reason why I wanted to create my own album. So what
Mhm.
makes the album different, my and Dr. Scott's album different is that the music is a storytelling kind of concept.
Mhm.
So instead of just listening to music that is more spa-like, the ones that you listen, it's very ambient, it's very slow,
Mhm.
and that thing just drives us crazy as ADHD people. Like
It does.
you
Yeah.
don't want that because you barely have good attention span in when you're opening your eyes and just like, but when you close
Mhm.
your eyes as well and you're just in your head the whole time, it just drives you crazy. So the
Mhm.
music just carries you through as a storytelling. So let's say one of the tracks is getting things done. And
Mhm.
when you want to get things done, you don't listen to music that is very slow, very
Right.
meditative. I mean, as a neurodivergent, you want something
Yeah.
that is like powerful and epic in
Mhm.
action. I'm just ready to get up and
Mhm.
just start working. So that was one thing. And let's say when there's a track about brain fog. So the brain fog, you just want to visualize that it's actually lifting. It's like magical.
Mhm.
Like you have that kind of it just varies in genres as well, like between fantasy and
Yeah.
action, which is obviously my job as well. So I just
Yeah.
integrated that into it.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I want to, if you don't mind, I want to dive into like the science behind this because I really do find this fascinating. Can you walk us through when you're creating this? Like, let's just go like take a track, right? How do you even begin? Like, where does that process begin, and what steps do you take to the final product that we get to listen to at the end of the day?
From a music aspect, because I'm a pianist originally, so I start on the piano always.
Mm-hmm.
I start drafting the themes that I want to orchestrate and arrange between whether it's like, as I said, like in different genres and all that. And most of the times I start with what really appeals to me. So I've read a lot of books about productivity and all that. One of them
Mm-hmm.
is Eat the Frog. And I feel like
Yeah,
so many of these self-help books do not really work with our brains. I cannot
correct.
start with the most difficult task. I cannot start with something that I'm like really irritated about and I don't want to.
Yeah.
So again,
Mm-hmm.
that's how I chase dopamine myself. I start with what I'm most excited about, what I'm most
Mm-hmm.
inspired, and you have those channels anyway, like as a musician or a creative, and then it just like you go in the flow with it.
Yeah, yeah. And so you had mentioned Dr. Scott, and that's Dr. Scott Barry Kaufman, am I correct, right?
Mhm.
Who is a cognitive scientist, right? How did you two bring neuroscience and music together in a way that worked for ADHD persons? Like how did that relationship begin? Because that's a fascinating combination there.
Well, so I've known Dr. Scott for a few years. Like I
Yeah.
followed him on Twitter. We followed each other. We started having a conversation just random about psychology
Mm-hmm.
and music and whatnot. I read his books about creativity and I was like fascinated by his perspectives, obviously. And then when I came to creating this album, I was like, I don't want to do it myself. I don't want to do the voiceover myself. I don't want to carry this just as a musician. I want real
Mm-hmm.
experts. And I proposed the idea to Dr. Scott. I pitched it. I was like, yeah, I'm just in. So we worked
Yeah.
on the scripts together and he did the voiceover. And despite the time zone differences and all that, we did it. And it was so smooth, honestly. It went so
Yeah.
like effortless. And
Yeah.
that's the way that I feel like it's really working.
Right, right. And that's how you get the result, which to your credit, you say that this album isn't just background noise, right? Like we want to make that clear. This is not just background noise. It tells a story. What was the story that you wanted to tell across all of these tracks on this album?
Um, as cliche as it sounds, that we do have a superpower.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, I was like, oh, this is so lame, this is so tacky. But then when I started really
Hmm.
diving more into myself and my neurodivergence and how it's a different kind of lifestyle, it's a different kind of
Yeah.
mentality and mindset. And I was like, you know what? I do have superpowers. Like when I'm hyper
Hmm.
focused, I can achieve in 8 hours what someone can achieve in like, let's say, two
Hmm.
weeks or something.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
one of many. So
Yeah.
these things, like it just like it made me fall in love with my brain when I was very critical of it before. I would be like, what's wrong with me? Nothing is working out,
Yeah.
all of that. You
Hmm.
just beat yourself up.
Yeah.
So when I started loving my ADHD and all that, I think everything started flourishing and I would just
Yeah.
have ideas that would help me spread that awareness, hopefully, that yeah, it
Right.
is a good thing.
Right, right. And it's it's one thing to listen to an ADHD or to listen to music, with ADHD. It's another to actually be creating the music with ADHD. Did ADHD ever was it ever a challenge for you at any time, to as you're working on creating this album, did your ADHD ever pop in and be like, "Hey, I'm still here." Like, how did you overcome that challenge while
It
creating this
did.
album?
It did, and ironically, the brain fog track was the most difficult for me. Like,
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, "What's wrong with you?" And I tried, like, I would work from the studio or I would go to a cafe or something, and it's just not
Yeah.
working with medication and everything. And then I was like, you know what? Because that was the last track that I was going to finish, like just,
Mm,
end the album with, in
yeah.
terms of work. And then I realized I'm just being very a perfectionist. I was just
Yeah.
very overthinking it, too much
Mhm.
in my head. And then when I just removed myself out of that, mindset, I was
Right.
able to just, you know what, I'm just going to do it. Going to send it to Dr. Scott and he tells me what he thinks. And then I'm just
Yeah.
releasing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And so I want to go back for a moment because like as you were just describing that, it made me think of the process in general, like that we talked about a couple minutes ago. How you start at the piano, right? Even before that, like what sparks the idea? Is it a feeling? Is it scientific insight? Or is it just the melody that you're playing on the piano? Like what kind of like before you like as you're sitting at the piano, like what kind of sparks the idea in the first place?
I wish I could answer that like
Hmm.
in a scientific way or because I really can't explain it.
Yeah, yeah.
It just comes to my head. It's like
Hmm.
channels are
Yeah,
open if you're like on a
yeah,
good day.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
just like sometimes you wake up with really good hair and
Hmm.
you don't really know why you did that while you're just working on something else another day. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's that. But a lot of times I'm inspired by how I'm feeling. Like, and I always talk about that, which is our emotional library.
Hmm.
Like, we have a lot of emotions stored, obviously, from our past experiences. And when these events come up, let's say I have a scene that I want to work on in terms of drama or comedy,
Hmm.
and those emotions are already stored in me, so I just bring them out. And that's
Hmm.
exactly what happened with the album as well. Like I dug into 2021 and the years
Hmm.
after and all that journey that I've been through and on since the diagnosis and even before. And I think that really inspired and just like triggered those emotions to create
Yeah.
music.
How therapeutic is this for you? It seems like it's very therapeutic for you in a way.
It is so
You're like
it is
sort of, you're like sort of
sometimes.
kind of, yeah.
Yeah. It is sometimes. And sometimes you go like, you're just like going mad. I want to pull my hair out. And I'm like, I'm quitting
Yeah.
music. I am done with
Yeah.
this job. And it's again, it's just like you being too much in your head. And
Yeah.
our job is lonely anyway as musician, like not music, but
Mhm.
as composers. And
Yeah, yeah.
like you really need some kind of like a tiny, at least circle that you would send them
Mhm.
the music and go like, do you really think it's good? Or shall I just throw it
Mhm.
out? So
Yeah,
it's that
yeah,
kind of yeah, but it is therapeutic.
yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And did I read this correctly? The album is going to be featured at an immersive listening lounge at the
Yeah,
2025 International Conference on ADHD. That's
it
huge.
is.
That's awesome. That is so cool. What how does that make you feel to know that that's going to be happening? What does that space look like for you?
Honestly, I can't even like fathom it or just understand how it works
Yeah.
because I just got a random email about an ADHD conference. I was like, interesting, let me see. And then
Yeah.
I checked it out and then I emailed them. I was like, I'm working on an album. Would you like to collaborate or partner in any way? I have no idea how I had that courage in the first place. And then they responded to me and they were like, yeah, sure, okay. And the first idea that I had was just, contributing into their bags and giveaways, like
Mhm.
as a QR
Mhm.
code. And then
Yeah.
it developed, and we have an entire immersive lounge at the back
Mhm.
of the hall where the library is and everything. And
Yeah.
people are just gonna go there, sit in their bean bags, listen to the album, and just
Yeah.
unwind.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's such a cool opportunity. And I'm curious, like when are there any as you're creating the album, again, this is when I nerd out a little bit. Are there any people, composer, musician, doesn't matter, but are there any people that inspire you or inspired tracks even directly that like as you're creating, you're like, oh, I want to kind of because you blend like Western cinematic scoring with Middle Eastern identity, which is amazing. So, are there any specific people that stand out to you that truly inspired you while creating this album?
Absolutely. I have maybe like a list of 10 at least.
Yeah.
But the number one composer, and this is like the same thing, like I'm a geek about this, and I just
Yeah.
everyone knows Gia is like an absolute crazy fan of James Horner, late James Horner.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And he's actually the one, like the reason that I got into film scoring, and I'm just obsessed
Mm-hmm.
with his music. I try not to
Mm-hmm.
be inspired by his music, obviously, and just like, have my own identity. But if I
Yeah.
had if I had the chance to meet him, I wish I met him
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
before he passed away, but he is my number one composer for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, James Horner did Titanic, um,
Avatar.
Avatar, Mask of Zorro. I'm missing a big one. Braveheart. He did Braveheart. So if you listen to Braveheart, like that is like if you listen to any of those songs, like that is who Gia is describing here. This is all. There's never been. I've been doing this podcast for 6 years, and I've never had the opportunity to geek out about some of the things that I love to geek out about. And one of those
Let's do
things
it.
it's like it's amazing. And so like, oh man, I don't even know where to begin. So before we geek out, I want to stick with you for a moment because I want to talk about your culture, right? Like, and how you, because you blend your culture into your music. So can you talk about how your cultural background has shaped how you hear and create and heal through music?
Um, well, so I was born in Saudi Arabia and
Mm-hmm.
lived there for maybe 3 or 4 years, and then we moved to Jordan, which is my home
Mm-hmm.
country. As an Arab, I would say so Arabic music is very rich, especially in terms of rhythms and
Mm-hmm.
percussions and obviously the modes and the scales and all that. So growing up in that bag like in that atmosphere and just like listening to both because my mom used to listen to Tchaikovsky when she was pregnant with me, apparently. I didn't and
Mm-hmm.
like just having that kind of like both sides of very very
Yeah.
classical music and also the Arabic music which we can have odd time meters and very
Mm-hmm.
unusual rhythms that you wouldn't really hear.
Mm-hmm.
Even foreigners, like when they hear our music, they would feel something is dissonant. So
Mm-hmm.
blending those two, it's just like it's interesting and trying to get to that fine line between it's not too dissonant and it's not too
Mm-hmm.
unusual, but it's also my identity and my culture.
Right. I'm curious because one of the big things that's happening right now in the world is, especially in music, is how AI is starting to make music and how it's playing a role.
Yeah.
I wanted to know your thoughts on this, and how AI has started to play a role into this whole thing. What do you feel like do you feel that's a problem, or do you feel like there's a way to use AI to your advantage, I guess, to create music?
I feel like it's just like kind of a progress that we have to go through. Like,
Yeah.
think about how we started with cassettes and then it moved to CDs. I mean, and then the MP3 players and all that and streaming platforms. And composers or musicians would be freaking out about each stage of these because
Mm-hmm.
it's new. It's a new thing. And I feel
Mm-hmm.
like with AI as it's a real threat. Like,
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
that a lot of jobs have been lost because of it anyway. Uh,
Yeah.
but if you don't work it, it's going to work against you, and that's what I always say. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm also creating an AI platform myself right
Mm-hmm.
now, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
partnering with like a few tech people on that, and it's ethical AI where composers are training the model for
Mm-hmm.
that. So I'm not against AI at all. I'm just
Yeah.
against what really breaches copyrights and
Mm-hmm.
composers' rights.
Right, right. I wanna take a little sidetrack here and just nerd out for a couple of minutes, if you don't mind, about
Yeah, of course.
composers. If you could sit in one scoring session in film history, any composer, any film, what would it be and why?
Oh God. That is very that is very oh God. I don't know. Can I have more than two?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I really like, the duos. So I like
Mm-hmm.
when a really good like how a certain composer would be partnering with a certain
Mm-hmm.
director. And we always talk about that, like
Yeah.
Hans Zimmer and Christopher Nolan,
Right.
like epic.
Robert Zemeckis and
Uh
Album Silvestri. Yeah,
exact
yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
James Horner and he did actually partner with I would say is it Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, he's done it. Yeah.
No,
Mm-hmm.
James
No,
James
no,
Cameron.
not
James
James
Cameron.
Cameron. That's what I'm thinking. I was like, yeah, I'm like Avatar.
Steven,
Avatar.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Steven
Mm-hmm.
Spielberg and
Mm-hmm.
John Williams. I need more
Yes.
coffee.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like those those sessions, like I feel like they're just like this
Yeah.
is history. This is a legacy. Like if you
Mm-hmm.
record one of them and just like a fly
Yeah.
on the wall, in yeah. So I love
Yeah.
this question so much, Kai.
Because I'm a nerd. I never get to ask anybody these questions.
I love
Are are
it.
there are there any film scores, and I'm talking like just in general, that you love, that you feel like is just like massively underrated and doesn't get enough love? For me, the score for Inception is one of my favorite scores of all time, and I feel like it has like this underground following, like it has this like this cult following in a way. Are there any film scores that you feel are just incredibly underrated?
Well, obviously, besides that, so there's a fascinating score of a very underrated and barely seen, I would say, movie called The Grey, and it stars Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson
The
and the
music
Wolves,
is,
right? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and that's why, like, one
Mm-hmm.
reason I got the tattoo.
Yeah.
It's Mark Streitenfeld, and I hope I pronounced the last name correctly, but the music
Mm-hmm.
is just, oh, it's so haunting. And
Mm-hmm.
it's truly like it's insane. There's also Rachel Portman's score for Still Life.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
Okay.
I'm trying to remember if that's the name of the movie, and
Okay.
it's just so it's so underrated as well, and it's like
Yeah.
full of emotion. It's just like yeah, I feel like I'm dying when I'm listening to it. So those are
Yeah.
like two that are underrated.
Yeah. Has there ever been a time that you've been like listening to a score and you're like, how did they even write that? How did they even come up with that? Has there ever been a time like
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, there are so funny enough, I have a playlist of cues that
Uh-huh.
and it's called Cues I Wish I Wrote myself.
Really?
And it's just and it's embarrassing because you go like, "Oh yeah, I wish I wrote this and that," and then you just feel like
Yeah.
you're just like a tiny, tiny, like meaningless composer.
Right.
Like Joan Powell's Goa for Born
Mm-hmm.
Supremacy or Born
Mm-hmm.
Legacy, one of
Mm-hmm.
the Borns.
Yeah.
Like there are so many cues, and it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we have a lot of talents in the
Yeah.
world, seriously.
Yeah. I am a big fan of I don't know how else to describe it other than dynamics in scores, like in a track. I love when a track is able to hit these emotional highs and lows throughout the song, and like you don't even need to know what's happening on the screen to understand the feeling. And like that's
Yep.
how I judge a score, right? Like
Hmm.
I don't need to know fully, even contextually, what's happening, but like the music tells a story and it gives you this feeling. And any score that gives me a feeling, those are the scores that I love. I
Right.
love it. And so my question to you is this: when you're creating specifically for either a TV show or a film, whatever it may be, do you prefer to watch the scene first and then score, or just kind of get a vibe for it and score, or just kind of be like, hey, this is what you got? Like, how do you usually pull that together?
Well, as composers, we don't really have that luxury of this is what I got,
Yeah.
unless you're Hans.
Right.
So it depends. It depends on the director, really. So
Mhm.
sometimes I work on script. Sometimes I work
Mhm.
on, let's say, a concept, and then we create themes and all that. When I'm handed a script or even like picture anything, I
Mhm.
mute the picture and I start recording raw. So I go like my
Mhm.
first instinct while I'm watching the picture, while I'm even if I didn't know the story in the beginning, I'm just following the picture and I'm like improvising on the piano. And
Yeah.
by that, I would get that kind of first instinctual feeling to what the story is
Mhm.
telling. And then, of course, once I know more about it and I watch it like 15 times in that day,
Yeah.
this is when I refine those themes and see if they work or not. And the
Mhm.
conversation with the director, obviously, like it influences how your music is written.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's the score for The Dark Knight. Um, there's the music in the interrogation scene. What I appreciate is Hans Zimmer doesn't rely on like this booming brass, like or fast strings. Instead, he loves to focus in on like this haunting single rising note. He does this in Inception too, almost kind of like this like drone kind of feel, and like that makes me appreciate like the silence sometimes, because like sometimes when people think of film scores they think of the da 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 da, like they think of like this big
Yeah.
boom, like, which is understandable. um but I appreciate when composers are able to even embrace the silence or the quiet sometimes. I'm really nerding out right now. But
I love it.
is there
Please don't. No, no, I love it.
does that ever cross your mind? Like when you're creating, do you ever want to just like focus on like maybe even if it's like just three notes and you're like, I'm gonna make this work throughout the entire scene?
I love that. And I love that you know
Yeah.
about it and you're aware of it as well.
Yeah.
So silence is a very powerful choice as well for a composer.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes
Yeah.
um like you can just choose that as the storytelling
Mm-hmm.
music. And once I was given a project. It was like a short film, and I was telling the director this doesn't need any music, honestly, just like
Mm.
a song at the end in the
Yeah.
credits, and that's it.
Yeah.
And as a composer, you go like, no, I want to compose music and I want to write more.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be very, very subjective because silence sometimes tells more than
Yeah.
all the music in the world, all the cues. So I
Mm-hmm.
love what you're saying because
Yeah.
it's very true.
Right, right. And the film that comes to mind when you say things like that is No Country for Old Men, which has very, very little music, but like there is music, but it's like strategically placed and they rely a lot on like the natural sounds. But that's not to say
Mhm.
that like to me at least the silence is still the music in a way. Like it's still part of it because it's a choice that was made to play with the flow and the energy of the scene and so forth. I can talk about this all day. But the
Oh, me too,
um
obviously.
but kind of going back a little bit for you personally, obviously, like we talk about these big composers and films, but we also talk about what you're doing with this album for people, well, with ADHD. There's a lot going on, and I'm curious for you personally, was there ever a moment for you as you're creating this stuff, either in the studio or in your personal life, when you realized that what you're doing specifically is bigger than music. What you're doing is helping people heal, right? And that's bigger than music. Has that ever crossed your mind, either in the studio or in your personal life? Like you're laying in bed, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm really doing this.
To be completely honest, no, because
Yeah, yeah.
I don't see like I would say like the way that I speak to myself in my head, and that's something I should be working on. I would
Mm-hmm.
say I hope this heals people. I hope this reaches people's hearts. I hope this would be like a good beneficial kind of thing for let's say, for ADHD
Mm-hmm.
brains. But for me to go like, oh, this is amazing and this is, doing this and that, I really don't
Mm-hmm.
I hope this is the case, but I really
Yeah.
don't see that yet. And I'm not
Right,
sure why.
right.
I just see it as it's just like a passion project that I've worked
Yeah.
on, and I hope that it reaches as many people as I can.
Me too. Yeah, me too. And the other thing that you're working on, I want to make sure that we get in here is another project called My Instant Zen. Can you talk about that? And because that's upcoming for you. And correct me if I'm wrong here. It's a custom audio platform that's designed to help people regulate their nervous systems. That's like, how do you even come like I don't- like that's such a flex. That's really cool. It's meditation, affirmation. It's like the like tailored audio track where it's based on your needs. Like you tell the platform what your issue is, and then
Yeah.
a custom a custom script is written for you, and it's paired with
Mhm.
music and voiceover, and it's tailored to your preferences. That includes the language and the tone. And then you get, in about what, 24 hours, 48 hours, you get this finished audio track delivered to you. Gia, what? That like that can you talk about My Instant Zen?
Yeah. So it's another idea that has been brewing as well for years. And that
Yeah.
also started when I wasn't able to meditate myself to what's
Mhm.
out there on the apps, all of that.
Mhm.
And I started creating my own meditations. And this is where I felt like I think it would be a good idea if we actually spread it and just like tell people that,
Mhm.
hey, this is an option if you want to. Like there are so many
Mhm.
specifics, let's say like, you don't want to just have a meditation so that you can sleep or so that you can
Right.
affirm that you're going to be rich or whatever. Sometimes you have, let's say, a very difficult um, interview that you're going for the
Mhm.
next day and you want
Yeah.
that you want to like just program your mind for that, or as silly as it could be like, oh, I can't drink enough water, or as very complex as I have a serious trauma that is going on.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that this is going to heal people or anything. It's just something that you really don't find in the average or usual meditation apps, and I feel like
Mhm.
we need custom designed, very unique meditations for our experiences and how we feel as well. So you fill a form, you tell us like what kind of music you like, what kind of vibe, voiceover, all that, and then yeah, you
Mhm.
just receive it.
You are one of the most fast. I say this with all my heart. You are one of the most fascinating people I've ever interviewed in my life.
Thank you.
I'm gonna
I'm
fly
honored.
out. I'm gonna fly out to where you are just so I can hug you, because like
Please do.
I'm like you are such an amazing person. I'm just like I'm in awe right now. Like even before
Thank you.
when I was when I first initially read your article that you sent over to me, and I was like, who is this? Wait, what? And so that's why I messaged you back. I'm like, yeah, yeah, you're coming on my show. Absolutely. Um, and for you personally, like you wear so many hats, you do so many things, you have so many of these amazing ideas. Um, do you ever get burnt out? Like you. I know there's a such thing as ADHD burnout for a lot of us because we work so hard, and sometimes our brains, because we have to work twice as hard to do simple tasks sometimes that other people don't have to work as hard. Even simple things like getting out of bed is hard. Not because we don't want to, it's just that we legitimately can't. We can't push that start button. And like we have this whole list of things that we want to get done. And we're excited to do it, but just pushing that start button to just get things going is really, really hard for us. And it could be exhausting physically, mentally to get that going. Do you ever get burnt out? And if so, what do you do to bring yourself out of it?
I get burned out like maybe every month,
Yeah,
especially
yeah, yeah.
recently. And
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that really changed me when I moved to Dubai, which is a year ago. And I
Mm-hmm.
can't believe how the time passed. But the
Yeah.
hustle culture here is so beautiful and healthy, to be honest, to me at
Mm-hmm.
least, that I feel like whatever I'm working on, you feel like there is a reward at the end, even if it's like not instant. And
Mm-hmm.
with burnout, I try my best to regulate through not journaling because it just hurts my wrist, but I would
Yeah.
track my moods. I would
Yeah.
track my moods. I would track my medication. I would track the water intake, and then I would
Mm-hmm.
be like connecting the dots and seeing what really played here. How many times have I
Mm-hmm.
been to the gym this week? All that kind
Right.
of stuff. And I'm a fan of mind mapping, which we can talk
Mm-hmm.
about sometime if you want.
Mm-hmm. I'll
But
listen.
that
I'll
really helps
definitely have
me.
you back on. Yeah, definitely have you back on.
Yeah. Seriously, like it changed my
Yeah.
life, the whole brain
Yeah.
dump thing, and just like doing the mind map all down to the finest task. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just like it takes a lot. It takes a lot, and you
Yeah.
have to be very aware of it and gentle with yourself. Like
Yeah.
eat that chocolate if you want to, or
Yeah.
just binge watch something. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You for the people that are listening right now, that this is specifically for the people like us who are struggling with managing their ADHD sometimes, and they're listening in on this, and in their life they feel broken, unfocused, like they're never going to get it together. Like we know that feeling all too well. For those people that are listening right now, what would you say to them?
Um, so one thing is like there's a huge difference between being diagnosed clinically
Mm-hmm.
and self-diagnosis. And I always recommend that if you've been self-diagnosing yourself, don't do that. Don't
Mm-hmm.
rely on TikTok videos and all that. Just go to a professional because
I agree.
medication goes a long way. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people are going to disagree with me on that, but honestly, personally, from my experience, medication has changed me drastically.
Literally
Like the way
took a
that I
pill
think and
as
the
we
way
were
that
talking.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the
Mm-hmm.
thing. I
Yeah.
swear to God, I wake up excited about taking my pill because I
Mm-hmm.
know like executive dysfunction is real. This is
Yes.
chemically imbalanced like in your brain. So you really need
Yes.
to like this is one of the self-love tactics that
Yes.
you're doing for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I would start with that. Get a professional diagnosis if you haven't already. And the second thing
Mm-hmm.
is, which is very important, having your own support system. People that
Mm-hmm.
know who you are, that know
Yeah.
that you're being harsh on yourself, you're being very critical of yourself, you're overthinking. So I would say start with those two. And then
Mm-hmm.
obviously afterwards, you just create your own system in terms of
Yeah.
planning, everything else.
Yeah. What would you say to the people, because you had mentioned before that ADHD is a superpower, right? For you, there's a lot of people out there that feel skeptical about their ADHD, like it's that that it holds them back. Um, what would you say to them right now?
You mean how their ADHD is holding them back?
Yeah, they feel as though like because you're for you your ADHD is a superpower, right? But a lot of people are just they're not there yet. They feel like their ADHD is holding them back. Do you have any words of encouragement for them?
Well, it depends on what is holding you back. So for example,
Mm-hmm.
me personally, I felt like trying every single thing that fascinates me
Mm-hmm.
was wrong. I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
But trying those things later, like I later realized that trying everything just made me know exactly what I'm in love with, what I want to
Mm-hmm.
be working on, and what my abilities are. And there's a
Mm-hmm.
term that it's called multi-potentialite, which means, and mostly ADHD people have it, which is having
Mm-hmm.
so many potentials. Like you can be a lawyer and you can be a musician. It's just what you focus on. And
Mm-hmm.
that's one thing that I would say, like, if this is what's holding you back, try everything, try it and see what you resonate with, what you enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, life is short, but it doesn't mean that
Right.
you just have to become super successful in the next year with your niche
Yeah.
or what you're studying.
Yeah, yeah. I am so fascinated by you, and I cannot wait to see like what's next for you, and for anybody that's interested in in Chasing Dopamine album, what when can they expect to be able to listen to that on their own and get that?
Yeah, right now it's in the mixing stage, so I would
Mm-hmm.
say mid-August it would be out.
Mm-hmm.
I'll definitely
Yeah.
promote it on my socials and
Yeah.
website and everything, but yeah, mid-August is the
Mm-hmm.
plan.
Perfect, perfect. So, and when that does, anybody that's listening right now, you can best believe that I will be one of the people advocating for Gia and the work that Gia is doing because it is truly fascinating. And also, I have a new friend to geek out about whenever I listen
Yeah,
to some music. So don't be
you have to
surprised if you
fly
get.
to Dubai.
I would love to. I've always wanted to go. And because I've heard so many wonderful things, so I'm like, I need to make it out there. I'm gonna make it out there
You
eventually.
do.
I'm slowly working my way there. I'll be in
Yeah.
Barcelona in a couple months, and so like I'm like slowly making my way, slowly making my way over. So
Halfway through.
um, yeah, I know we're halfway there. If you don't mind, if you could just leave us with one final thought about your journey and the hope that you have for the work that you're doing for the people that are managing their ADHD. Just one final thought for them.
Um, I really hope it resonates with people that listen to it, and I really hope also it helps in any way,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's just putting their minds at ease or making them feel better or,
Mm-hmm.
just having a different direction in life, whatever it is. I really hope that it helps people that listen to it. And I always say that, like, as an advocate for mental health and all that, I don't feel like I should be a stranger as well. Like anyone can reach out to
Mm-hmm.
me if they wanted to talk about anything, even if you
Mm-hmm.
don't know me, even if we, just like into my DMs.
Yes,
So you can
yeah.
talk, we can discuss ADHD or anything that has to do with that kind of mental health, because it's really like life is difficult. It's not easy.
Mm-hmm.
So we
Yeah,
need each
yeah.
other.
We absolutely do. We absolutely do. Gia, I cannot say thank you enough for joining me today and for sharing your heart, your talents, your story. I cannot wait, like I said, to see what's next for you. And Vibers, if you're interested in anything that you heard today, all of Gia's links are going to be in the description of this podcast. So all you have to do is click. Make sure you go follow Gia. That way you can stay up to date on everything that's happening. You'll learn more about Gia's music, of the upcoming platforms that Gia has, the immersive lounge that's coming to the International ADHD Conference, which is really awesome. Be sure to follow Gia on Instagram and Spotify. All those links will be dropped in the notes. And if today's conversation resonated with you, I would love to hear from you. Like Gia said, share your story, share a takeaway, share a part of the album that you're most excited for, perhaps. And don't forget to leave a quick rating or review. That way we can continue to reach the ADHD and mental health community to keep these conversations going. I want to thank my guest, Gia, once again for hanging out with me today and for everybody for watching and for listening. As always, my friends, much love, good vibes, and I will talk to you later. Goodbye.